she pulled out her phone and called her supervisor. "Teresa, I know I left early, but I need a favor. Can you write me a doctor's note saying I need to miss work tomorrow for medical reasons? I'll explain later, but I really need this." Teresa, who'd known Rachel for 5 years, heard something in her voice. "Honey, is everything okay?" "Not yet," Rachel said grimly, "but it will be. Can you do it?" "I'll have it emailed to you in an hour," Teresa promised. "And Rachel, whatever's going on, I got your back."
Next, Rachel Googled how to withdraw immigration petition on her phone. The information was right there, clear, straightforward. As the petitioning sponsor, she had the right to withdraw her support at any time before the application was approved. She could file Form I-290B, or she could write a letter directly to USCIS office explaining that the marriage was fraudulent. Her hands shook as she read through the requirements. This would destroy Derek. Without her sponsorship, his application would be denied immediately. He would lose everything: his work permit, his legal status, his ability to stay in the country. He would be deported back to Nigeria within weeks, maybe days. "Good," a voice inside her said. "Let him lose everything, just like he planned to do to you." Rachel went to a coffee shop down the street and opened her laptop. She created a new email account that Derek didn't know about and started drafting a letter to USCIS. She kept her emotions out of it, writing in the clear, professional tone she used when documenting patient care at the hospital. Just the facts. "To whom it may concern, I am writing to formally withdraw my petition, case number, for Derek Okofor's adjustment of status to permanent resident. I am withdrawing this petition because I have discovered that Mr. Okofor entered into our marriage fraudulently for the sole purpose of obtaining immigration benefits. Mr. Okofor has maintained a secret family in Nigeria throughout our relationship, including a wife and dependents, whom he plans to sponsor for immigration once he receives his green card. He has stated his intention to divorce me 6 months after obtaining permanent resident status. I have audio evidence of Mr. Okofor discussing these plans with his actual wife in Nigeria, in which he refers to me as a maga, Nigerian slang for a fool or scam victim, and describes our marriage as a business transaction. He has explicitly stated that I am just a ladder he is using to enter the United States. This marriage was entered into in good faith on my part. I spent approximately $20,000 sponsoring Mr. Okofor's visa application, believing our relationship was genuine. I only discovered the fraudulent nature of this marriage today, 1 day before our scheduled interview. I am willing to provide recorded evidence and testify under oath if required. I request that this petition be immediately withdrawn and that Mr. Okofor's application for adjustment of status be denied. Respectfully, Rachel Okonko. She read it 3 times, making sure every word was accurate. Then she attached the audio file she'd recorded on her phone outside the apartment. She'd had the presence of mind to hit record before she'd fled to the lobby. The whole conversation was there. Derek calling her a maga, discussing his divorce plans, laughing about the money she'd spent, talking about his real wife Chidema and their plans to bring his family to America once he got his papers. At 4:30 p.m., Rachel took a deep breath and pressed send. The email went to USCIS fraud hotline and to the office handling Derek's case. An automatic reply came back immediately. Your report has been received and will be reviewed within 24 to 48 hours. But Rachel knew that with an interview scheduled for tomorrow morning, they'd review it much faster. She also sent a copy to Mrs. Chen with a brief note. I'm withdrawing the petition. Derek has been using me for a green card. I have proof. Please don't contact me about this again. Now came the hardest part, going home and pretending nothing had changed. Rachel sat in that coffee shop for another hour, practicing her face in her phone's camera. She needed to look normal, tired from being sick maybe, but not devastated, not furious, not like a woman who just discovered her entire marriage was a lie. She bought more ginger ale and crackers to support her sick story, then headed home around 6 p.m. Derek was cooking dinner when she walked in, humming to himself. When he saw her, concern immediately crossed his face.
perfect, practiced concern that she now recognized as the act it was. "Baby, you're home early. Are you okay? You look pale." He rushed over to take her bags, guiding her to the couch like she was fragile. "I'm fine," Rachel said, her voice steady, despite the hurricane inside her. "Just got sick at work. Food poisoning, I think. My supervisor sent me home." "Oh no, my queen," Derek said, his voice dripping with fake sympathy. "You need to rest. Tomorrow is such an important day. You can't be sick for the interview." He brought her water, fluffed pillows behind her head, acted like the devoted husband he'd been pretending to be for months. Rachel watched him perform, marveling at his skill. How many times had he practiced this? How many other women had he scammed before her? Or was she special? The biggest catch, the American nurse with money and a green card, the ultimate prize. "I'll be fine by tomorrow," she assured him, taking small sips of water. "It's probably just a 24-hour thing. I'm more worried about you. Are you nervous about the interview?" Derek sat beside her, taking her hand. His touch made her skin crawl now, but she forced herself not to pull away. "A little nervous," he admitted, "but mostly excited. Tomorrow our life really begins, you know? Once I get that work permit, I can finally start contributing. I can finally be the husband you deserve instead of sitting around the house all day." Such beautiful lies, delivered with such sincerity. Rachel wanted to scream, to throw her water in his face, to tell him she knew everything. But she didn't. She just smiled weakly and squeezed his hand. "You're already the husband I deserve," she said, and it wasn't even a lie. She deserved exactly what she was about to give him: justice. That evening, Derek was especially attentive. He made her soup, brought her medicine, sat with her on the couch watching TV. He talked excitedly about their plans after the interview. "I've been looking at tech jobs online," he said. "There are so many opportunities here. I could probably start at $70,000, maybe $80,000 a year once I get my certifications. We could move to a bigger apartment, maybe save up to buy a house. In 5 years, we could have everything we've dreamed of." Rachel nodded along, making appropriate sounds of agreement, while inside she thought, in 5 years, you'll be back in Nigeria telling this story to your guys at the bar, probably trying to find another maga to scam. Before bed, Derek pulled her close. "Thank you," he whispered, "for everything, for believing in me, for giving me this chance. I know I haven't said it enough, but you changed my life, Rachel. You're my miracle." She felt him kiss the top of her head, felt his arms around her, and for just a moment, one brief, painful moment, she let herself remember when she thought it was real, when she'd believed he loved her, when she thought she'd finally found her partner, her person, her family. Then the moment passed, and the ice returned. "Get some sleep," she said softly. "Big day tomorrow." Rachel barely slept that night. She lay awake staring at the ceiling, listening to Derek snore peacefully beside her. How could he sleep so well with such a massive lie living in his chest? She wanted to know, genuinely wanted to understand how someone could be so cold, so calculating. Had he ever felt even a moment of guilt? Had he ever looked at her sleeping face and felt bad about what he was planning to do? Or was she truly just an object to him, a ladder, a tool, a means to an end? At 5 a.m., she gave up on sleep and got up. Derek woke shortly after, stretching and smiling at her. "Good morning, my wife," he said cheerfully. "How are you feeling? Better?" "Much better," Rachel lied. "The sleep helped." Derek jumped out of bed with energy she rarely saw from him. "Today is the day," he said, heading to the closet. "I need to look perfect. First impressions matter with these immigration people." He pulled out his best suit, the navy blue one Rachel had bought him 2 months ago for $400 when he said he needed professional clothes for potential job interviews. She thought she was investing in their future. Now she knew she'd just been dressing up a scammer. Derek spent an hour getting ready, showering, shaving, styling his hair with gel he'd bought from the African store. He practiced his smile in the mirror, rehearsed answers to potential questions. "What if they ask about my employment?" he asked Rachel. "Should I mention the freelance work I've been doing?" "What freelance work?" Rachel asked, genuinely curious. She'd never heard about any freelance work. Derek looked momentarily flustered. "Oh, just some small projects, nothing major. Maybe I shouldn't mention it, might complicate things." Another lie, probably. Everything was lies with him. At 7:30 a.m., Derek stood in the living room in his full suit, looking at himself in the mirror by the door. He looked good, confident, successful, like someone who deserved to be in America, like someone who hadn't scammed his way here. "How do I look?" he asked, turning to Rachel. "Perfect," she said, and she meant it. He looked perfect for what was about to happen to him. "You ready?" Derek took a deep breath. "Ready. Let's go change our lives." They took an Uber to the USCIS office in Manhattan. During the ride, Derek held Rachel's hand, occasionally squeezing it for reassurance. She let him, watching the city pass by outside the window, wondering when the hammer would fall. The USCIS office was intimidating. All security checkpoints and serious-faced officers and people waiting nervously in plastic chairs. Derek checked them in at the front desk and they were told to wait. He sat beside Rachel, his leg bouncing with nervous energy. "I wish they'd just call us already," he muttered. "The waiting is the worst part." Rachel said nothing, just watched the door where officers periodically emerged to call names. At 9:15 a.m., a tall officer with graying hair appeared. "Derek Okafor and Rachel Okonkwo," he called. Derek jumped up immediately, smoothing his suit jacket. Rachel stood more slowly, her heart pounding. This was it. The officer led them down a hallway to a small office, but instead of inviting them to sit, he remained standing, his face serious. "Mr. Okafor, Mrs. Okonkwo, there's been a development in your case. We need to separate you for questioning." Derek's face showed confusion, genuine confusion which almost made Rachel laugh. He really thought this was still going according to plan. "Is something wrong?" he asked, his voice perfectly calibrated to sound concerned but not guilty. "We just need to verify some information," the officer said neutrally. "Mrs. Okonkwo, please come with me. Mr. Okafor, Officer Martinez will take you to another room." Derek glanced at Rachel and she saw the first flicker of real worry in his eyes. "It's okay," she said calmly. "This is normal. They told us they'd separate us." She watched another officer approach Derek, watched him being led away down a different hallway. Then she followed her officer into a small conference room. "Mrs. Okonkwo, please have a seat," the officer said, closing the door. His demeanor changed immediately, less formal, more human. "I want to start by thanking you for your email. What you did took courage." Rachel felt tears spring to her eyes, but she blinked them back. Will he be able to stay?" "No, ma'am," the officer said gently. "Based on the evidence you provided, the audio recording, your testimony, and the clear evidence of fraud, Mr. Okafor's application is being denied. We're currently holding him for deportation proceedings." The words should have brought satisfaction, but instead, Rachel just felt empty. What happens now? "Mr. Okafor will be taken to a detention center while we process his deportation. Since he came on a K-1 visa and the marriage was fraudulent, he has no legal basis to remain in the country. He'll likely be deported within 1 to 2 weeks. We'll also be investigating whether he's committed immigration fraud before, as this is rarely a first-time offense." The officer paused. "You did the right thing, Mrs. Okonkwo. Men like Derek Okafor prey on good women like you. You could have let this go through, gotten hurt even worse down the line. Instead, you protected yourself." Rachel nodded, unable to speak. The officer continued. You'll need to file for divorce, of course, and I'd recommend changing your locks, your bank account passwords, everything. We've seen cases where the family members back home try to harass the victim. You might want to consider blocking his number, his email, all of it. His family, Rachel said quietly. His real wife. Do they know what happened? Not yet, the officer said, but they will when he calls them from detention. I'm sorry, Mrs. Okonkwo. I know this isn't how you wanted today to go. Derek was processed and taken to a detention center in New Jersey that same afternoon. Rachel didn't see him again after they were separated in the U.S. Immigration Office. She went home alone, walking into the apartment that suddenly felt too big, too empty. All of Derek's things were still there. His clothes in the closet, his toiletries in the bathroom, his shoes by the door. Evidence of a life that had never been real. She started packing his belongings mechanically, shoving everything into trash bags. As she did, her phone started ringing. Unknown number. She ignored it. It rang again and again. Finally, she answered. Hello? A woman's voice, young and frantic, speaking in Igbo. Please, I'm looking for Derek. They said he was arrested. I'm his wife. Please, where is my husband? Chidimma. The real wife. Rachel felt nothing. No anger, no sympathy, nothing. Your husband is in a detention center in New Jersey. He'll be deported back to Nigeria in 1 to 2 weeks. Don't call this number again. Wait, please. Chidima was crying now. You don't understand. We have 2 small ones. We need Derek here. He was supposed to bring us to America. We've been waiting for 2 years. Please, you have to help him. Please, I'm begging you. Help him? Rachel's voice was ice. The way he helped me? By stealing $20,000 from me? By lying to me for a year? By calling me a maga and a fool? Your husband is a criminal and he's going exactly where he deserves to go. Don't ever contact me again. She hung up and immediately blocked the number. But the calls kept coming. Different numbers. Derek's sister, his brother, his mother, people claiming to be his friends. All with the same message. Please help him. Please forgive him. He made a mistake. Think about his family. What about Christian forgiveness? God will bless you if you show mercy. Rachel blocked every single number. She felt no guilt, no second thoughts. These people had known. They'd all known what Derek was doing, and they'd been fine with it as long as they benefited. Now they wanted her mercy. Now they wanted her compassion. They could want all they liked. That night, Rachel's phone buzzed with an email. It was from Derek, sent from the detention center. Rachel, please, I know you are angry, but please don't do this. I love you. I know I said terrible things, but I was just talking big to my friends back home. You know how men are. We say stupid things. It didn't mean anything. Our marriage is real. Our love is real. Please, call USCIS and tell them it was a misunderstanding. Please, I'm begging you. I can't go back to Nigeria. I have nothing there. You're my life now. Please, my queen. Please. Rachel read the email 3 times, then she deleted it and blocked his email address too. The calls and messages continued for days. Derek's family was relentless, trying every angle. His mother sent her voice notes crying, calling her a wicked woman, saying God would punish her for destroying her family. His sister tried a different approach, appealing to their shared experience as Nigerian women abroad. Sister, I know you are hurt, but think about the bigger picture. We all have to help each other. Derek made a mistake, but his whole family will suffer if you don't forgive him. His brother tried intimidation. You better fix this. You don't know who you are dealing with. Derek has people. You think you are safe in America. Rachel reported every threatening message to the police and to USCIS. She changed her phone number, her email, her social media accounts. She installed extra locks on her apartment door and a security camera in the hallway. She wasn't taking any chances. At work, Keisha pulled her aside. Girl, I heard what happened. Are you okay? Rachel realized she was okay, actually. Yes, she'd been scammed. Yes, she'd lost $20,000 and almost a year of her life. Yes, she'd been humiliated and used. But she'd survived. She'd caught it before it was too late. She'd protected herself.
I'm good, she told Keisha honestly. I'm actually really good. How are you so calm? Keisha asked, amazed. If someone did that to me, I'd be losing my mind. Rachel thought about it. Because I almost lost a lot more. If I hadn't come home early that day, if I hadn't overheard that call, Derek would have gotten his green card. 6 months later, he would have divorced me and probably taken half my assets. He would have brought his whole family here on my dime. I would have been the fool he said I was. Instead, I caught him. I stopped him. I won. 2 weeks after the interview, Rachel got a notification that Derek had been deported back to Nigeria. It was over. She filed for divorce, uncontested, since Derek couldn't exactly fight it from Nigeria. She closed their joint bank account and opened a new one. She changed the locks, even though Derek had never had his own key. She deep cleaned the apartment, erasing every trace of him. And slowly, carefully, she started rebuilding her life. The money was gone, $20,000 that she'd never see again, but Rachel found she didn't care as much as she thought she would. Money could be earned back, time could be recovered, dignity could be restored. What she couldn't get back was the version of herself who'd been so desperate for love that she'd ignored every warning sign. That woman was gone now, replaced by someone harder, smarter, more careful, someone who would never be anyone's ladder again. 3 months after Derek's deportation, Rachel sat in her apartment on a Saturday morning, drinking coffee and scrolling through her phone. She'd started a new routine, working her shifts, going to the gym, attending a book club with other nurses from her hospital. She was building a life that didn't revolve around a man, didn't depend on someone else to make her feel complete. And surprisingly, she was happy. Her phone rang, a Nigerian number she didn't recognize. She almost didn't answer, but curiosity got the better of her. Hello? Rachel, it's Amaka. Please don't hang up. Her cousin, the one who'd introduced her to Derek. Rachel hadn't spoken to her since the deportation. What do you want, Amaka? I wanted to say I'm sorry. I didn't know. I swear to God I didn't know Derek was married. He told us he was single, that he was looking for a serious woman. If I'd known that was his intention, I never would have introduced you. Rachel believed her. Amaka sounded genuinely devastated. It's not your fault, Rachel said, surprising herself. Derek fooled everyone. He was good at what he did. Have you heard? Amaka asked quietly. Heard what? Derek tried to do it again. He met some British Nigerian woman online, started the same game, but this time the woman's brother is a lawyer. He looked into Derek's background and found out about you, found out about his wife in Lagos. They reported him to the authorities. He's facing fraud charges now. Rachel felt a grim satisfaction. Good, maybe he'll finally face consequences. His wife divorced him too. Apparently, she didn't know he'd been lying to her about everything, told her he had a real tech job, thinking it was just a one-time thing with you. When she found out he'd been scamming women, she left him, took the kids and moved back to her family's house. Derek's living with his mother now. No job, no prospects. Everyone in Lagos knows what he did. He's basically avoided by everyone. Rachel felt nothing. No sympathy, no vindication, nothing. Derek was no longer her problem, no longer her concern. He was just a mistake she'd learned from. After she hung up with Amaka, Rachel sat with her coffee and thought about everything that had happened. She'd been so desperate for family, for love, for someone to share her life with, that she'd made herself vulnerable to a predator. She'd ignored her instincts, dismissed her doubts, and silenced the voices of people who cared about her. She'd paid a high price for that lesson, $20,000 and a year of her life, but she'd learnt it, and she would never forget it. The doorbell rang. Rachel opened it to find her neighbor, Mr. Thompson, holding a package. "This was left downstairs for you," he said with a smile. As Rachel thanked him and closed the door, she thought about how different her life looked compared to a year ago. No husband, no partner, no one to share the load, but also no lies, no manipulation, no one using her as a stepping stone. She was alone, yes, but she was free. And maybe, she thought, it was worth more than she realized. Rachel went to Nigeria one more time, 2 years after Derek's deportation. It was for her father's 80th birthday, a celebration that brought together relatives from across the country and the diaspora. As she sat in her family's compound in Enugu, surrounded by cousins and aunts and uncles, someone asked the inevitable question. Rachel, when will you marry? You're not getting any younger, oh. Before, this question would have filled her with shame, with anxiety, with the desperate feeling that she was running out of time. Now, she just smiled. When I meet someone worthy of me, she said simply, and if I don't, I'll be just fine on my own. Her aunt pursed her lips disapprovingly. But a woman needs a husband. How will you manage alone in America? Who will take care of you? I take care of myself, Rachel said firmly. I have a good job, good friends, a good life. I don't need a husband to be complete. I want a partner, yes, someone who adds to my life, not someone I have to carry, but I'll never again sacrifice my peace, my resources, or my dignity for the idea of having someone. Later that evening, a young cousin, maybe 22 or 23, pulled Rachel aside. Auntie, can I ask you something? She looked nervous, glancing around to make sure no one was listening. I met a guy online. He lives in Italy. He says he loves me, that he wants to marry me, but he needs help with some visa issues. He's asking me to send money. Rachel's heart clenched. History repeating itself. Another young woman about to make the same mistake she had. Don't, Rachel said firmly, taking her cousin's hands. Don't send him anything. If a man truly loves you, he won't ask you to solve his financial problems before you've even built a life together. Love isn't supposed to cost you everything you have. Real love builds you up. It doesn't drain you. This man, whether he's in Italy or Nigeria or anywhere, he's not the one. Trust me. I learned this lesson the hard way, so you don't have to. Her cousin's eyes filled with tears. But what if he's real? What if I let go of my one chance at happiness? If he's real, he'll prove it without taking from you, Rachel said. And if he's not, you'll have saved yourself from years of pain and regret. Don't be anyone's ladder, my dear. Don't let desperation make you blind. As Rachel's plane lifted off from Lagos, heading back to New York, she looked out the window at the city shrinking below her. She thought about Derek, wherever he was, whatever he was doing. She thought about the $20,000, the months of lies, the humiliation of discovering she'd been a fool. And she thought about the woman she'd become because of it, stronger, wiser, unwilling to settle for less than she deserved. Some people said she was too harsh. Some said she should have given Derek a second chance, that everyone makes mistakes. His mother still sent messages through mutual friends, calling her wicked and heartless. Even some of her own relatives whispered that she destroyed a man's life over pride, that she should have been more forgiving, more understanding. After all, they said, he was just trying to survive. Can you blame a man for wanting a better life? But Rachel knew the truth. Derek hadn't wanted a better life. He'd wanted an easy life built on someone else's sacrifice. He hadn't made a mistake. He'd executed a plan. And Rachel hadn't destroyed his life. She'd simply refused to let him destroy hers. The pain was real. The loss was significant. But the lesson was priceless. She'd learnt that loneliness was not a disease that needed to be cured at any cost. She'd learnt that being alone was better than being used. She'd learnt that true love doesn't require you to sacrifice your dignity, your resources, or your peace of mind. As the plane climbed higher into the clouds, Rachel closed her eyes and smiled. She was going home, not to a man, not to a relationship, but to herself, to the life she'd earned, the peace she'd fought for, the future she was building one day at a time. Derek was back in Nigeria, facing the consequences of his choices. His wife had left him, his reputation was destroyed, his dreams of America were dead. And Rachel was free.
Thank you for staying till the end. Rachel's story shows us that love should never blind us to the truth. True love should never cost you your dignity, your resources, or your peace of mind. Was she right to protect herself, or should she have forgiven Derek? Did he get what he deserved? What would you have done in her shoes? Drop your responses in the comments. I really want to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more interesting stories. Much love.